Persian, we had Professor Nadvi, the late Professor Nadvi, and I was very, very proud of those individuals, of those scholars, and what they achieved and what they did. And I'm very pleased that a conference like this, of this prestige, not only should be held in our university, but should be held on the campus where we had that department in the days when one had departments. One doesn't have departments nowadays. So from the personal point of view, I'm very pleased to be here, and I'm very glad this is taking place. But from the university's point of view also, I must formally welcome you. And if I'm meant to open the conference, then I formally do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor. You've just reminded me that my first year of Islamic studies, after being a student here of commerce, was in 1974 under Professor Nadvi, and I really enjoyed that year. Thank you very much, and brought back lots of memories of the University of Durban, Westville. And I must tell our learned guests here that at that time, this was a designated Indian university, and thank Allah that now it's an open university. Thank you, Professor. Now I have the pleasure to call Shaykh Taliep again to give a brief overview.
Once again, everybody present, Professor Spracklen on the other side. Yeah? We have our honored head and DG of IPSA, Dr. Aaron Khalid, also the Honorable Professor Dangor, seated here, our keynote, and His Eminence, the MC, Mr. Zeinoul Cajee. Everybody present here, I greet you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good morning, and welcome also to this august gathering here this morning. As you have noted from the program, I wasn't too sure how the overview fits into the introduction and the welcome and the opening remarks and the actual introduction. And obviously the keynote speaker, I think, had he had the clearest brief in terms of his work here this morning. Professor Dang. I think first and foremost, I would like to take the opportunity also on behalf of the International Peace College South Africa to extend a welcome, a hearty welcome to each and every delegate here this morning. I feel, however, compelled, more so than Professor Spracklen, to give a little bit of an introduction to the International Peace College South Africa, as it is a relatively young kid on the block. Can't speak about 100 years in the making. On the contrary, it's an institution that only celebrated its 10th year of existence in 2015. So it is a very young kid on the block. It is an institution that takes as its motto knowledge, virtue, civilization. And so the project of IPSA, International Peace College South Africa, we believe and we feel is also a culmination of the expression of our community's presence, its experience of 350 years in this beautiful country of ours, and its attempt to, from within community, from within our own society, to give expression to our aspirations, to give expressions to our hopes, and to also make a contribution to the national and the international discourse of Islamic civilization. Over the past 10 years, we have had numerous international participated symposia, conferences devoted particularly to this sphere of knowledge. The ethos of the institution prides itself on promoting and espousing the principles of Islamic civilization, of wasatiyya, of the middle path, of moderation, of balance, and promoting a life for human society on this earth that kind of, we believe, would be well informed by the microcosm of which Muslims living in South Africa interact, integrate, have social cohesion and peaceful and harmonious coexistence with the rest of its fellow citizens in our beautiful country. We believe that that is a story that we have to tell. We believe that that story needs to emerge from within the ranks of the community, and we believe that we need to develop the necessary expertise that can mirror the wonderful and the illustrious scholarship, as Professor Spracklen has alluded to, that have been existent at this campus for a very, very long time. And so we also, I think maybe in conclusion, to say that it is the first community-based private higher education institution that had been registered with the Department of Higher Education and Training, and of course had its programs accredited by the Council of Higher Education and registered on the National Qualifications Framework. And we're also very, very honored and proud to say that in this year, in part of that project, we have then, in furthering the discourses and the development of production of knowledge within a traditional, within a authentically heritage-related context, the heritage or the Turath of Islam, established the Ash-Shatibi Chair for Maqasid Studies in 2016. Its incumbent this year will also be part of our proceedings. Professor Dr. Jasir Ouda will also be joining the proceedings a little bit later today. We've also embarked on the first foray into the postgraduate program at IPSA with a program in Islamic thought, more applied Islamic thought within the framework of the higher purposes of the Sharia. The idea with that is to also look particularly at issues and matters that relate to Muslim society and as it relates to larger civil society as well, and issues that are particularly relevant to society on the ground, and having research projects related to those issues and developing solutions, therefore, from the ground up, so to speak. And so that program is being rolled out by the grace of Allah in this year, 2016. In 2017, we are intending to roll out the Masters in Applied Islamic Thought, again located within the sphere of the Maqasid al-Sharia, the higher purposes of the Sharia, which we believe from a authentic Islamic legacy perspective provides an emancipating and a liberating framework to provide precisely the needed type of solutions that we so desperately need in the Muslim world today and broadly. And so with that brief little introduction and note, very kindly allow me then also to say that in relation to our conference here and its main purposes, I would like to make the point that the rise and fall of civilizations is a preeminently prominent theme in the Holy Quran. The people of Ad, Thamud, Fir'aun, these are but prominent narratives of history that abound throughout the pages of the Holy Quran. The Quran lauds their brilliance of innovation in accomplishing astounding feats of architectural ingenuity and advancement in infrastructural developments in those eras and periods in which they lived. So these achievements are in fact foregrounded. The narrative in this scheme of the rise and fall of nations, the narrative then goes ahead and forward to posit the decline of these civilizations on the prevalence of corruption and injustice in the land. We'll recall فَأَكْثَرُوا فِيهَا الْفَسَادِ, and they proliferated the prevalence of corruption in the land as a cause directly for such declines. In confirmation of the higher purposes of societal development, the Quran simply states, هُوَ الَّذِي أَنشَأَكُم مِّنَ الْأَرْضِ وَاسْتَعْمَرَكُم فِيهَا. It is He, God Almighty, who had placed you on this earth and required of you to develop and to advance the potential of earth. وَاسْتَعْمَرَكُم فِيهَا This word sta'mara is also a word from which Ibn Khaldun takes his concept of umraniyat, which today in sort of modern social sciences becomes references to the study of social science in its broader sphere. And so Ibn Khaldun, the Islamic scholar and forerunner to modern social science, is best known for his muqaddimah. The chief concern of this monumental work was to identify psychological, economic, environmental, and social facts that contribute to the advancement of human civilization and the currents of history. And he points out to a word which is critical, and I'm sure over the course of the 3 days will be referenced abundantly. He references a concept, asabiyah. In that context where he lived, he kind of referenced it to tribal solidarity. Our context in which we live today, we should reference it to social cohesion, social solidarity, harmonious coexistence. And those are all concepts which made for the great civilization of Islam during its brilliant periods of history. And so he will be credited for that. And to this end, we have seen obviously the development of Islamic civilization from the West and right across to the east of the known world at the time. I think it is more important for us, this conference of us is opportune and timeous for the crises that abound once again in the Muslim world and the total and complete destruction of Islamic civilization based on all forms of pursuits of political, economic, and all different kinds of imperial designs. And so we pray and we are confident and look forward to a wonderfully informative and a wonderfully enlightening conference over the next few days towards the re-establishment of Islamic civilization. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you, Shaykh Taliep. I want to just mention to you that as one of the hosts and lead coordinators of this Congress, Awqaf South Africa, many of you are aware that Awqaf has had the first Congress in 2006 in Johannesburg with the University of Johannesburg. And one of the reasons that we engage with this particular Congress is to highlight and bring together scholars from different parts of the world, focusing on our history and our culture and our contributions here in this part of the world. And as many scholars would say, that we tend to glorify our history, we tend to go back and lament our history, our glorious history, but we forget that we are in the process of building a civilization as well, and that our task as Awqaf South Africa and as Awqaf, literally from the beginning of its inception 1400 years ago, was always in the process of building civilization. Many institutions, universities, colleges, schools, mosques, places of worship, cities have been built on the basis of Awqaf, and Awqaf has been a major contributor to Islamic civilization over time. And we see no reason why this process should not continue. And therefore, it's significant that Awqaf institutions worldwide promote and ensure that this civilization, the Islamic civilization, continues its growth path. So we hope, inshallah, that from this conference, several recommendations may emerge that may highlight areas of concern, areas in which not only Awqaf but many other institutions here in South and Southern Africa and perhaps in the world will look at the issues of implementation. So on the one side, Awqaf is a mobilizer of community capital, and on the other side, Awqaf is an implementer of Islamic civilization and institutions. So those are just some of the opening remarks that I have, and inshallah we hope that towards the end at the plenary, and I'd urge you all to make your notes on, particularly on recommendations, which will come out perhaps at the plenary session towards the end. I now have the honor to introduce to you Dr. Khalid Iran, who's been the Director General of IPSA. IPSA is the Research Center for Islamic Art, Culture and History. It's a subsidiary organ of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation based in Jeddah. And he's been there for several years now, I think probably over 10 years now. And we hope that this cooperation between Awqaf South Africa and IPSA continues. We've had a long-standing relationship, and this cooperation helps us to promote Islamic culture, Islamic history, unearth a lot of the hidden history that we have here. One of the issues that we focus on is not only the history of bygone days, but also current history, current contributions, and this is part of the documentation that we need to have. The conference proceedings are generally recorded, they're produced, a book is produced after the conference. These books are also available at all the universities, in all the libraries that we can submit them to. So we hope that, inshallah, God willing, that this Congress also is blessed and it has tremendous outcomes. So Dr. Khalid Iran, Jazakallah.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Elhamdülillahi Rabbil alemin. Salatu vesselamu ala Seyyidina Muhammedin ve ala alihi ve sahbihi ecmain. Dear Professor Donald McCracken, Dean of the Humanities of the University of KwaZulu-Natal, Honorable Coordinator of AwqafSA, my dear brother Zeinoul Cajee, dear brother Professor Süleyman Dengör, Shaykh Ighsaan Taliep, Principal of International Peace College, dear colleagues, participants, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good morning all. It is a real pleasure for me to greet you on the occasion of the International Congress on Islamic Civilization in Southern Africa. IPSA gives great importance to this Congress, which materialized thanks to the cooperation of KwaZulu-Natal University and the National Foundation of South Africa, AwqafSA. It will give a fresh glance at the history of Islam and Muslims in this region and refresh the interest after the first Congress, which we had co-organized with the AwqafSA Foundation and Johannesburg University 10 years ago in 2006. Its outcomes were reflected in annual reports and publications that IPSA distributes in its 57